Hi guys, welcome back to We Are Going to Talk About It. So today's episode, we are going to be talking about leadership, and with me I have the one and only Ddumba Timothy. I'll let him introduce himself.
Yes. Thank you, Joel, for having me on this podcast. I've always been waiting to make an appearance on this podcast. We're going to talk about it. My name is Ddumba Timothy. I'm first and foremost, I would say I'm a leader, and but I'm also a certified AI engineer. And so I think the capacity of leadership is what I'll be appearing in today. Yeah.
It's interesting because when the podcast started, you're among the first 10 guests that were lined up, but something kept happening here and there. I think it was fair that you appear at this very time, at this very day. So I want us to start by understanding what kind of leader you are. So there are two types of leaders that I saw in Simon Sinek's book that talks about leadership. I forget the title, but he talks about leaders who delegate. And okay, before we dive into this, not necessarily that any of these leaders are bad, but it's just the kind of person you are, like what you're more attuned to. Leaders who delegate, like these are the guys who have authority, like their leadership is more of president-like, oh, this, and they get systems together. Then there are leaders who work within the team, like he's a worker in the team. So it's more of like he's integrated into a team, but as the leader. So you as Timothy, because I think I've known you for 14 years, and at every level you've been leading. You are my president at primary. If we had gone to the same secondary school, you'd have still been my president. But then at university later, you become the guild president still. What kind of leader have you always seen yourself as?
Well, Joel, that's an interesting question. I think definitely the kind of leader that I am is shaped by the circumstances that I'm thrown into. And as you have rightly mentioned, I've been the leader at all the different levels of education that I've been at. But you and I both know that the environment of high school is different from the environment of the university. At the high school, you are prefect. And so that kind of leadership needs to be more authoritative, because you're even doing the work of the police at times. So yes, you have to be voted by the people, but at the same time, you have to keep law and order. You are the one who is ensuring that people are moving in order. And yet at the university, it's a bit different. It's politics. You have to be aware of the policies of the university. At the same time, you have to be very approachable. And you're not exactly the police. You're not the one to keep law and order, like, hey, which people have not attended class today, or you're not that type. So you have to adjust. So to answer your question, whether I have been the leader who delegates, especially when the system is big. For example, at the university, where I was at UCU, so many different campuses across the country, and you're the guild president overall. And so you have these people in Kabale, the people in Arua, the people in Bale. You can't be everywhere. So you have to learn how to leverage the systems. But then at times, you're a leader of a smaller, more intimate team, and you need to move faster. You need to be working in every single sector. So I've been both, depending on the circumstance.
That's interesting. Okay, yeah, depending on the circumstance.
Yeah.
Then my other question would be, why leadership? Why is it like a calling, but why have you chosen to lead? It's a responsibility, and in this day and era, we try as much to avoid to be attached to any responsibility as much as possible. I mean, childbirth is scary for many, and that's just a responsibility of being a father. But then for you saying voluntarily, I want to lead a group of people. Why?
That's a deep question. That I think about every now and then. So leadership is about influencing people, moving people to a particular direction. I have grown up wanting, and I still do, I want to leave every place I am in a better place. I want to be the best wherever I am. I want the people that I'm with to be the best. So if I go to now, I've been studying as a student. So wherever I am, I want that I found this place like this. I want to leave it like this. So that's how I end up in leadership. I actually, the first position I ever ran for in primary, and I have to ask you why you voted me if you did. But it was after a conversation with my dad, and I'm like, well, you ensure that I'm okay. You ensure that that everything is going well for me. So who ensures that everything goes well for you? Who ensures that? Because when I hear you talk about the bad roads and everything, who is responsible for the roads? Who's responsible for the things that adults are going through? It's like there is this person called the president. He's the one to ensure that he's the overall, to ensure everything is going well. So I wanted to be that kind of person for my own kind of people. And so he's like, you can start by going for president in your school. That's how it started.
Interesting. So you ask, why did I vote you in primary? Oh, it's okay. Oh, I'm at university.
In primary,
in primary, it was more of like it wasn't a trivial reason, but it was more of that you were my friend in primary, and you had taught me how to play chess, and I thought it was such an interesting thing to do, play chess when you're young and like beat adults, and then we're in the chess club together. I was like, yeah, this guy is intelligent, I should give him my vote. But that was primary. Then university, I came to know you as someone with integrity and loyalty, and those are my top things. Like even if I'm looking for a relationship, like from the opposite gender, what I'm looking for is integrity and loyalty. That's it for me, because I want to know that I'm trusting the person, that who's my friend or my partner or my leader, that they have my best interests at heart. And I would see you on these talks, it seemed that you cared about the things you talk about. Because obviously I'm not in your brain to know, because leaders are very good at manipulation. And they say that, so you know how they say you can convert your toxic behavior into a job occupation. They say if you're like a narcissist and a manipulator, just become a leader, a political leader. Yeah. So I wouldn't know, maybe you are very good at manipulating. But what I read was that you cared about the people you were talking. You cared more about the people you were talking to and the people you were planning to lead. You cared about their interests. And I'll be honest, like the entire time at UCU, when you were guild president, I think that was the best time. And not just from me, like from people I talked to. They kept telling me, all people who don't know you actually, yeah, Timothy's term, what I want to be like Timothy. Then I'm like, just reach out to him and, ask him why you want to be like him and how we can help you. Type stuff. But, the other leaders at guild president level, they're just learning. It's probably their first time leading, and it's, they make mistakes, which is okay. But with you, it was different. It's like it was your calling for you. And I think that's why I voted for you. So leadership is not easy, because even the small levels I've tried to lead at, let me say at a small organizational level, maybe at home being the firstborn, is still very complicated. And you're leading toddlers, but it's challenging. What are some of the earliest challenges you fought with in leadership?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you again. Thank you again for the questions and taking me down memory lane. Maybe before I answer that question, I have to say that there is a time when we were, because again, most of the races that I involve myself in, I am usually the unlikely candidate, the underdog. So some people used to tell me before I ran for the presidential campaign, and they were like, "But do you have the money that those guys have? You're not in law school, so you don't have the numbers, And there are so many things against me, but the one thing I told myself at that level that you have reminded me is that no one loves these students more than I do. That's the thing that kept me calm. That I'm like, I don't know the manifestos those guys are going to bring. I don't know how much money they're going to put in their campaigns, but no one has thought about these guys as much and as intentionally as I have. So if they listen to me speak with the things I'm going to show them, they're going to know immediately that no, this guy has clearly been listening and he's been doing the work. So that helped remove the pressure of what I don't have by focusing on what I have done so far. So for the question of the early challenges, and as you have put it, one of these challenges I noticed because when you're an older sibling, I'm not the firstborn, but I have some younger siblings. I've had cousins and all that, and leadership really starts at that level. The thing is, communication was the earliest challenge for me, and I think this is something I only got to solve in high school, because even in primary, the reason I asked you is that in primary, it was more of I don't really know what I did to win. I really don't. Because it does seem like people all of a sudden liked me, and that one day we gave a speech, we were given one day to speak, and then people were just overwhelming. But I don't remember going to classes and telling them. I had things I wanted to do, but I don't remember telling people that. So I don't know really what happened. But communication in terms of making you understand what the right way is. That is not so easy. Yeah. And I lost an election in high school because of I think one of the reasons was because of that. I had a big plan, but the people that I was talking, it was in S3. But the people I was campaigning to, I did not bring them on board. They did not fully understand that big plan. Yeah.
Okay. Communication. Yeah, it's vital as well. Like even in relationships, and it's talking about the stuff you don't want to talk about. I think we usually assume that communication is just communicating, like putting something across.
Yeah.
But then it's also like talking about the hidden things that you don't like about certain situations, and not being afraid of how people will perceive you as long as you're saying your own truth. Then that's interesting. You mentioned something about no one loves these children, or these students, they were adults, these students more than I do. And that has, stuck with me, because I was reading about the study of women becoming better CEOs in like Fortune 500 companies in America because of their empathetic resonance with the people they lead. And I want to ask you, because from the statement you've made, I would assume that there was some bit of empathy attached. What role do you think empathy plays in leadership? And does it supersede other roles, like, let me say, being a macho man? Because they assume if you're a leader, that's what they used to attach leadership to men, I guess, because of stoicism and macho-ness, like, oh, you're strong, you don't have to look, you don't have to look faced by anything. So you have to lead in this kind of strong way and what. But then empathy now is playing, in the modern era, empathy is playing such a great role. What importance would you attach to empathy as a leader?
Empathy. I think for clarity's sake, I can say that one thing. Empathy has one advantage over everything else. And as I've told you, because I've been leading almost all my life, I've been different at all stages. And it's only at that guild president level that I engaged my empathy. I was never the empathetic leader. I was more the macho kind of leader, and which was very well suited for the high school level.
Yeah.
But the difference between an empathetic leader and one who is not really so much about loving the people and all that is that you get to plant seeds with empathy. Without empathy, you can be great. You will most likely be great. But after you, that's it. You will not be able to mentor those around you, your subordinates. You will not be able to plant seeds of your kind of leadership that will thrive. You will be a one-hit wonder. You will be that footballer who shines in a team, wins the trophies, and then once they leave, that's it. The team goes back to zero. No one plays like them. No one knows how they did it. That's the difference with the empathy and without empathy. So at UCU, that's definitely when it kicked in. When you love the people, you're more willing to teach. Without it, you're not teaching. You're here to cross and tick those goals. You've made your promises via the manifesto. You've assembled your Avengers, and it's time to get things done as fast as possible. That's fun, but it's not sustainable. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Then there is this leadership initiative I've been seeing you post about, something about fuel. And I've never really gotten into it because I think we have both been busy. So I've never texted for you to give me details of what fuel is about and whatever. At first, I assumed maybe it's like an IT thing since you're in that area of IT and AI. But since you're here, would you care to tell us what's fuel? Because I think it's something to deal with leadership.
It is. Fuel is my heart, to be honest. Fuel is it's a movement. It's a movement. It originally started when before I became guild, because I noticed that whereas you know how the youth are like, we are asking for change at national level, that it's time to give youth a chance. We are better leaders. We have newer ideas. We are stronger. But when you look at our universities, especially other universities, you will see that the level of leadership among the youth is broken already at that level. Corruption is already there at that level. Mediocrity is already there at that level. Like people, you find people are called ministers, guild presidents, but they don't take themselves seriously. Apart from campaigns and dressing well and speaking well and all that, when they come to management of issues, execution of ideas, they are not serious. They don't know how to budget for all those millions of shillings that are given at that level. 400 million, we're talking about 500 million, but you don't have a personal budget. How does one expect you to budget for thousands of students? So I wanted a program that would teach people all these things that they will need. How do you talk to the administration? How do you negotiate? How do you budget? How do you build a team? How do you set goals before people get into positions of power? So that's how it started as a fuel program. But then later, we realized that this issue goes deeper than just university student leaders. It's also at the national level. We have politicians. Actually, just yesterday, NBS Morning Breeze, I think it was Honorable Muhammad Sereko, and he was telling the moderator, I think it was Kagwanjala, that you can't trust. Is there any politician in your head that you can trust to run a company?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
exactly. It was bad, but at the same time, it was accurate. Most of the people who go into politics are the courageous ones. They are not the brilliant ones. Shy away. They're not courageous enough, and so the ones who are bold, but at the same time do not have the skills of the people in these positions. So this issue is not only at university level; it's at the national level. So that's how Fuel was born. How do we build a movement of leaders who are bound by excellence, but also who have the correct leadership ideology, which is Christ's leadership ideology? So that is what we are trying to do. That if we have a Joel and he's in law, he's in the podcast business, and we have different people. We have me who is in tech. We have different people who are in different sectors, medicine, but people who are excellent, people who lead with love, people who lead with excellence. That is when our systems will be changed, because systems are people at the end of the day.
And it's interesting. Now, we are talking about all these leadership things, but now let's first go back into the background of leadership. Even with the small endeavors that I've participated in, like let me say this podcast, maybe writing a book, and then let me say leading a very tiny organization or leading a family of like 4. Yeah. There is a bit of imposter syndrome that always kicks in. You're like, I'm on a podcast, I'm trying to, teach something or provide value to people, but who am I really? Yeah. Who am I? I'm just 23, probably has lost as many, but I'm trying to, as you said, courageous. The people going to politics are the courageous ones. So how have you handled that imposter syndrome, or have you had imposter syndrome at all at any level of leadership?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting, because that's true. That's true. And you see, most of these people, the people who shouldn't be in places, are people who they hardly struggle with imposter syndrome. Once they are there, they are there. They've come, they have arrived. Yeah. And you see, I don't know who, I forget the philosopher who said that it's usually the intelligent that struggle with that issue. Because the more you know, the more you discover what you don't know. Yeah. So you have that doubt in yourself, like, I may not be 100% correct on this. It's only scientists that will be like, yeah, we believe it's going to rain, but we believe 80% chance it's going to rain. They always have those percentages. A politician will tell you, tomorrow it's going to rain, bring your umbrellas. That's it. And people want that. They gravitate towards that. No one feels confident with percentages, with likeliness, with this, no. But yet that's intelligent speak, to know that you can't be 100% certain. But that's non-politician speak and everything. So with that issue of imposter syndrome, I have not struggled a lot with imposter syndrome in the essence of leadership. But that's because I feel that I'm the luckiest person in the world to have ended up in a space where I feel I've been born for this, I've been sent for this. So in leadership, I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, I'm where I'm supposed to be. But in other sectors, I've struggled with that imposter syndrome. In many other sectors, you feel like, am I the smartest? I don't even know what we are really doing. I've struggled a lot with that in AI. I'm an AI engineer now, but still, I don't really know what I'm doing. I just continue to practice, build, and keep failing, testing, keep learning from others. But it's never, our HOD used to tell us that they will never reach a point where you feel like I am the expert at this. You'll always enter a room and they're talking about things you've never heard about. And you're like, how am I even certified? You know?
Yeah.
So did you ask how we deal with it, or if I go through it?
Yeah, like if you go through it, and if you said you don't go through it, so you don't deal with it. So I know it's interesting you mentioned that kind of behavior, the narcissism that is attached to very many leaders who these people are talking about the confident ones. Once they make it, they have made it. So I was reading Nick Tuinamasiko's novel. He's a Ugandan, Tracy Code. It's a brilliant read. I think everyone should check it out. So in this book, he mentions his best friend who went into politics. So now, because by then people aren't as educated as much, but for him, he had the chance to like get a degree, his best friend. So every time this guy would appear like on television to talk, he would cram a Winston Churchill speech and just react it out, like just say the exact same words. And sometimes we'd even forget that he's in a Ugandan context. He would just say the same things that do not apply to Uganda. Yeah. And then people would just clap and be so excited, like this is the person we want. Yeah. He would often quote philosophers, often quote like presidents type stuff. And people loved him for that. Yet he's just like, copy and paste.
Yes.
And it's very weird how people are very gullible to such, situations and leadership in such situations. So I want to ask you, let me say there is an aspiring person wanting to be a leader. Probably they're in their primary school. There are people who naturally just want to step up and be in that leadership position. I don't know if it's a hero complex psychologically. There are these people who say, I can't watch people suffer. I have to be the savior, It's either a hero complex or it's a blessing and they have to be leaders. What would you tell them? Like, what advice would you pass on to someone aspiring to be a leader, and not just any leader, but a great leader?
Well, number one, just do it. Just do it. Because as you have talked about that, you've given that example, and you see, this person, he was one of the earliest people to get the degree. Back then, it was a very big deal to have a degree.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of confidence. He trusted that I am the only one who can do this. I am reading this speech. It doesn't matter whether it applies, but the confidence I'm using to say this, that's what people are looking for. That's what leadership is about. You see, leadership is not, sometimes people do claim that they want you to be, they want to know if where you're going is the correct way. But the truth is, there's so much confusion in this world. A clear person is all people need. If you know that, no, this is where we should go, and I believe this, that is enough. So you just show up and go that way. Secondly, because you can take that one point and you take people the wrong direction, listen a lot. Don't mix up the things. If you listen a lot fast, then you may be discouraged because everyone has something to say.
Yeah.
If I told you today that I'm going to run for president, you could be excited. The next guy in this room would tell me maybe it's too early. The other person would tell me everything that I don't have to run for president. At the end of the day, I will not run. Or if I run, I'll be unserious. I'll do it for publicity's sake. I'll crack too many jokes. I won't take the run seriously because I don't believe I can win. Yeah. We've seen those examples.
Yeah.
By the way, it could be unpopular, but you see, I can laugh at some things people laugh at. And maybe memes are funny and everything. But whoever comes for the position of president applies for it, and then they take it unseriously. I really do not find that. I really don't find that funny. Because it paints all of us, the youth, in an unserious picture. Like, the only time we see a youth running for president is when they're going to crack jokes about it, and take it unseriously. So I'm not for that. So so that's number two. After deciding to just do it, number two, listen. As you move, you're already moving, listen. You want to be head prefect at your school, apply, start moving. As you're moving, then ask your friends that you trust that I'm already going for HP. What do you think are some of the things that I could do? What do you think are some of the things that I can do better? And all those things. Then number three, have role models. The best role model is Jesus Christ. So what did he do? Study what he did. And that is about just loving the people. So the people you want to lead, you have to love them. How do you know you love someone? When you research about them, you care about them, you find out what really hurts them, and you truly, truly immerse yourself in that.
Interesting. And there is that point you've been hitting on of intelligent people do not want to go for such things, right? Because they lack the confidence, and then they are scared of failure. And this torments intelligent people more than it torments less intelligent people, I would say. Just plainly, I would say that, because I was the author of The Such Art of Not Giving a Fuck, Mark Mason, he was saying about a client he had who was extremely very intelligent, like scientist kind of intelligent, people who calculate like very huge amounts of numbers in their heads and they have the correct answer, that type of intelligence. And he was saying this guy was crippled by going after the smallest kind of things, like maybe leadership in his sector, maybe asking out a girl, because that fear of failure would torment him because of his level of intelligence. And it happens like very conscientious people who overplan everything. Every single detail has to be meticulously planned out and drawn out. And this torments them because now we end up having people in power who lack the skills. Like that interview you're saying, they lack the skills, but the people who have the skills are sitting backward and saying, you know what if I do this and I fail? So it's more, they are too much into their ego that they're not willing, to extend that empathy and say, you know what, since I have this kind of skill, maybe I should become a leader and make this better. Yeah. Now, you mentioned something about role model, and I know maybe it's the embodiment for almost, any aspiring male person. Usually it's Jesus Christ is like the embodiment of whatever you want to become. Like you have to enact him out. But I want to ask you, who's your leadership role model? Who did you watch and inspired you to become a leader? Probably like a leader. You would say maybe it's your dad, but maybe if your dad was a leader, I want more like, was it a president? Like your greatest leader in your perspective, growing up and watching, and someone who keeps inspiring you that there is hope at the end of the day.
Well, I have role models now. So excluding Christ and my parents.
Yeah, I need someone who's a leader. Who was a leader or who is a leader?
Oh no, my parents were politicians.
Oh,
yeah, so they were leaders.
Yeah, then that makes sense. Yeah,
and but even then, they I do, as a child, they're not politicians now, but they were politicians when I was much younger. So as a child, you don't really you're blocked from like the kind of leaders that they are. You don't fully see that. But what you see are the way they treat people.
Okay.
So growing up, especially with my mom was more into the politics. So moving with her during because we'd be home chilling, and then she'd just grab your hand, and then you start moving and going to people's houses and checking on them and then going to different centers and all that stuff. So moving with, as a child, you have your circuit board is wiped clean. So you're just learning everything. You think it's normal, So at an early age, moving and asking about people, taking care of people became normalized for me. So in that sense, it became less scary for me or less weird for me to do such a thing because I'd grown up seeing it. But when you ask about role models in a way that I think you're asking, like, this is the way this guy was leading, this is the way I want to lead. I've had none. Okay. I've had none for a long time, really. I've just been doing my thing. Yeah, what I want to do, it's been an interesting process because up until S6, it has just been about, I want to do something great. I want these guys to remember who I am, who I was.
Legacy.
Legacy. It has been about legacy. So whatever it costs, and there's not much empathy, but it was hard to see.
Yeah.
Because I would do something for you, Joel, and it would really look like I cared about you. Yeah. But the truth is, it was about how you saw me. Like, yeah, you need to see that excellent leaders exist. That was it for me. So I would do it for you. Yeah, you would benefit, but in my heart of hearts, it was about me. So I didn't even have time to focus on how other guys did it. I was just practicing, like making sure everything. But then, of course, at campus, interacting more with the word. Because I've always been Christian, but really a lukewarm Christian.
Yeah.
But it's only recently when I started reading the word and understanding what is true leader. It's when we face problems that surmount our identity that we are forced to go back to the drawing board. It's only when I faced huge issues at the university that I'm like, wait, leadership can't just be this. There is something about it. Why are things not working? There has to be so you go into that research and you find out what is leadership supposed to be. And that's when I realized that it has always been about love. If you don't love, you will never fully heal. You'll never fully lead. You'll never fully build if you don't love. If a father does not fully love his wife and the children, a husband and the children, he will never really lead that family. He will choose himself many times over that family. If same case with a politician, same case with a businessman. If a businessman doesn't love his customers, he will profiteer off them. Instead of producing, if he promises, now like Apple, sorry to say, if they talk about Apple intelligence, they will keep promising because they're like, until it makes pure financial sense, they're not going to improve the product because it's no longer about you, the customer, it's about them. That's when you start to go off.
Yeah.
So going back to all that, till love, that's what informed the change. But I forget the question you asked at first. Where are we?
No, it's okay. So what you answered it in your argument, you answered it in a way. What's your take on Ugandan politics at the moment? Okay, it's not a political podcast, but I just wanted to, just get your own perspective on this kind of thing.
Yeah, no, Ugandan politics is broken. It is broken, and you see, it's about to change. And people like you and I, the current generation, the call is upon us now. And there is a small window of change that is about to happen, and we need to be ready to do things right the next time. If you look at Ugandan politics in the context of the 40 years that we've had NRM, you will be short-sighted. But if you look at it at a larger scale from 1962 to right now, from independence, you will see that we've been going through cycles. We've never had a peaceful transition. The only reason we've had peace is because we've had one person control everything. Now, I don't subscribe to any political party, and I am not opposition or government. I'm simply an observer for our generation. I want things to become better. Our politics right now is the system is primed to propagate the selfish ones, to propagate the short-sighted ones. You can't go. It's just messed, and it's up to us to redesign it because that time is very close. Because 40 years have been great. But at the same time, the change is coming soon. And what happens after? No one talks about what happens after. No one talks about what happens because last I checked, Mr. Museveni is not immortal. He's mortal. What are the plans for after? What are those plans? Are there solutions on the opposition end? None. Their focus is on one man. Are there solutions on the NRM side? No. Their focus is on one man. So who is thinking about after?
Yeah, I get. So by the way, that's a brilliant observation because, okay, let me say the man is now out of the picture. What now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What now? Because the change is not even only in this country. The reason I'm doing AI is because AI is a big change proponent at the international scale. Uganda, we are also a player on the international scale. So we are facing two kinds of imminent changes. The one is local, whereby there's going to be a change in government. And our government, our political system has never been designed to withstand change. We have never seen it. And no one even panics because what we have has never been tested on transition. And as we are trying to figure that out, if anyone is, we also have an imminent one coming at the international level. AI is going to take over fast white-collar jobs. We're already seeing it.
Yeah.
We've never had technology that goes fast for knowledge work. We're already struggling with unemployment, but we are still teaching. The things we are teaching, AI is doing faster. So we're going to have a population of strong youth with nothing to do. And it's going to be happening around the same time that the government is going to be changing, a government that has never been tested by transition. We need to be ready for that. We need to prepare.
Yeah. So now, there is this podcast, What Now, that a friend introduced to me by Trevor Noah. He's the host. They usually play a game. It's called If I Rule the World. So I want you to conclude with this. If you rule the world, what's like a law or a rule that you'd put that you'd want to make universal across. You had the chance to dictate this one, even though let me say you're not the kind of leader who dictates, but just for one rule, and you rule the entire world, not just Uganda. What's one universal law you would put across?
That's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. It has taken me so many years to realize that, wow, that is the, if you're doing any kind of engineering or any kind of science, you know that there is that critical component. You only determine its criticality by testing how the system reacts when you remove it. Remove that ability of loving your neighbor as you love yourself. That's when you start to see people who steal from others. That's when you start to see people who lie to each other. That's when you start to see people give less than their best work to a project. So love your neighbor. If I could dictate that
would be
pack my bags and be like that.
Yeah, thank you for coming. I think that's a very brilliant law because, I was reading Carl Jung about this same thing. You were saying about this law of love your neighbor as you love yourself. So most times we mistake it for people pleasing. Like most people, when you tell them that they want people please, but you are saying that in the equation of you love your neighbor as you love yourself, it assumes you already love yourself. But what does it mean to love yourself? You're treating yourself like someone you're responsible for helping.
Yes.
You're not treating yourself softly. You're not saying, I don't feel like doing it today, let me chill. No, that's not loving yourself. That means you hate yourself. That's why you're doing that. But if you love yourself, you respect yourself. So now, after you've achieved loving yourself in the real sense, extend that now to other people. If you extended that to other people and loved everyone as you loved yourself in the way you're supposed to be loved, then it will become a negotiation of power. No one is above each other, but all of you are kind of equal in a sense, which makes so much sense. I love how we broke it down. But, thank you for coming today. And yeah, we'll keep seeing more of you and we'll talk about the AI journey. Yeah. Thank you very much, Timothy, for being here. That will be the conclusion. Like, subscribe, and recommend the podcast.